For this video, we're going to be discussing translations. So translations are the first of the transformations that we're going to be talking about. And a transformation is simply a way of moving a figure without changing its shape. And a translation is simply moving that figure vertically or horizontally. Another way we could think of it is just being a slide. Translation is just a slide. So, for example, we've got this triangle here. And let's name this triangle. Let's call this triangle A, B, C. Alright? With our endpoints here, A, B, C, these are what we call vertices. Alright? So, what we're going to do is we're going to translate this figure. And all we do to translate it is it's simply a slide. We simply take our triangle and we simply slide it over. Alright? We can slide it left and right. We can slide it up and down. Okay? And all we're doing is moving it side to side or up and down. That's all a translation is. When we do that, what we're left with, this new shape, is what we call the image. Okay, after we do a translation, our new shape is called the image. Our original shape we could just call the pre-image. And now I want to name my new points. And I name my new points based on their corresponding points in the original. So this right here, this goes along with A. So we call this A prime with a little apostrophe on top. That's A prime. That's just telling us that A prime is the image of A. This would be B prime. And this would be C prime. You can always tell that it's a translation because I can take and I can draw a straight line. Let's make it a different color. Let's make it orange. I can draw a straight line from my original points to my new points. And there we go. All I did is I took this triangle and I slid it over to become this triangle. That's all a translation is. So, we can also think of this being algebraic. Right? Every point on a coordinate plane has got an x-coordinate, that's my left and right coordinate, and a y-coordinate, my up and down. A translation left or right changes the x. Moving left, you subtract from x, and moving right, you add to x. A translation up or down changes my y-coordinate. Going up adds, going down subtracts. So say, for example, I gave you this point A. And I told you A was at, let's say, 2, 5. And I want to move, we're going to translate this 2 right and 3 down. And I want to know, what does that get me for A prime? Well, 3 right we know changes our x, and going right adds, so I'm going to do 2 plus 2, that gives me 4. Down changes my y-coordinate, and it's subtracting, so I'm taking 3 away from 5, 5 minus 3 gives me 2. So my new point would be 4, 2. So that's how we do this algebraically. We simply add or subtract from our original coordinates based on whether we're moving left or right or up or down. So, why don't you go ahead and try this problem. It says, find the coordinates of A prime if point A at 3, 4 is translated 3 units right and 2 units down. Alright, so now that you've tried it, let's figure this one out. So we know point A is at 3, 4, and I'm going 3 right and 2 down. Well, right affects my x-coordinate, and we add, so I'm adding 3 here. And down affects my y-coordinate, and I'm subtracting, so I'm subtracting 2 here. So to figure out what A prime is, 3 plus 3 gives me 6, and 4 minus 2 gives me 2, so my new point is at 6, 2. Nothing to it. All I do is add or subtract based on whether I'm moving left or right or up or down. Now I can also do this visually. This says translate the triangle 1 unit down and 4 units left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to each one of these points, and I'm going to move it 1 down and 4 left. Let's name these. Let's call this one R, S, T. So I'm going to translate it down 1 unit and 4 units left. So I'm going to go to each one of these points, and I'm going to go down 1 and then left 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's where R prime needs to go. Do the same thing for S. Down 1 and left 1, 2, 3, 4. There's S prime. And the same thing with T. Down 1 and left 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where my new triangle needs to go. And if I take my old triangle, I can just drag it. Well, maybe, if it'll move. Drag my old triangle. Well, that didn't work. Try this one more time. There we go. Drag my old triangle down, and now you can see what the new one looks like. I've taken RST and made it into R prime, S prime, T prime by going down 1 and left 4 with each one of my points. Alright, so our final example we're going to do together. It says, given square ABCD with vertices at 0, 0, 0, 4, 4, 4, and 4, 0, we're going to translate that 6 units right and 5 units down. I want to know what are the coordinates of A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. So why don't you pause the video now, see if you figure this out on your own, and then we'll go through it together. Alright, so now that you've tried this, let's see if you figured it out. We're moving 6 units right, which means I'm going to take my X value on each one of these and add 6. And I'm going 5 units down, which means I'm going to take my Y value and I'm going to subtract 5. So now if I go through these, 0 plus 6 is 6. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. That's 6, 5. Hopefully you can read that. Once again, 0 plus 6 is 6. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. 4 plus 6 is 10. And 4 minus 5 is negative 1. And 4 plus 6 is 10. And 0 minus 5 is negative 5. So my new points are A prime at 6, negative 5, B prime at 6, negative 1, C prime at 10, negative 1, and D prime at 10, negative 5. Alright, so now you know everything you know to be able to do, or you need to know to be able to do translations. So your try it problem for tonight says, triangle ABC has vertices at A14, B37, and C60. If the triangle is translated 7 units up and 2 units right, what are the coordinates of A prime, B prime, and C prime?